I think my job is made quite easier by all my earlier speakers talking about integrated and interconnected enterprise. So that's a good, nice start for me to make a presentation at this juncture. But nevertheless, I'll just run through some of the concepts of what's happening in the industry. Might be something missed out or can come in my presentations. Just coming to the global trends and trend breaks. If you look at what's happening, what we thought as stability as one of the major factors. Earlier it used to be a great moderation, we should be very stable and all that. But today's scenario, the great uncertainty is a new normal. So we have to live with uncertainty as a very new normal in the present day's world, in industry. Technology. A lot of technology hyped in the last decade, but many of them vanished. But the new skills, like many speakers spoke about, you have a lot of technologies gaining in advanced materials, robotics, cloud, IoT, big data. Industry and competition. Earlier it was considered emerging economies as low-cost production centers, but it's not anymore true. We are in truly global competitive sessions. Policy, ultimate trust in market efficiency, liberalization and deregulation. Now that is getting changed to re-regulation and intervention. Factor inputs, decreasing global cost, increasing scarcity of talent, resources and capital. The demand, high growth but low volume in emerging economies, high absolute growth in emerging economic cities. So this is based on a presentation I listened from McKinsey. So this is what's the present normal today. Looking at the governments across the world, some of the speakers spoke about this. Just capturing all put together. In the United States, you have your labs, research center, focusing on digital manufacturing and design innovation. In UK, you have network of leading technology and innovation center. China, reform of industrial policy, focus on IT integration industrial processes. Netherlands, to the top, strategy for developing high technologies. Germany, industry 4.0 and smart devices world. So you can see globally, all the governments have launched lots of initiatives to remain competitive. ARC did a study on industry. As per the ARC industry study, in industrial relations, the growth is primarily coming from technology intensive and highly technology industries. In emerging markets, increase investments to improve production technologies, quality, safety and efficiency. Trends to individualize mass production requires extended communication technologies along the value chain. Need for sustainable solutions that drives modernization of industry. This is based on the ARC study report on the future of industry. The next few slides, I'll just run through some of the things, what has been happening in the industry. So how the technology evolved from basically totally shop floor controlled, decades back, moved from computer centric, moved to system centric, then application centric, now business centric and now totally enterprise systems. How does the cyber physical systems come into picture now? Look at the 60s and 70s, we had mainframe computing, large computers. Then we had in the 80s and 90s, desktop computing, one computer for every desk. Then in come to 2000s, you have numerous computing devices in every place. You have millions of desktops and billions of embedded processors. Come now, you have the cyber physical systems. It enables transfer of technology through IoT to the industry. Products are able to control their own manufacturing process and take their own quality control. You have rigid factory lines running to flexi modules while they conserve resources. And then of course the humans support the entire training and assistance of the system. So from a huge mainframe systems, the industry is moving towards cyber physical systems. Coming to automation, automation has come in a very big way from the stage of hardware, software, algorithms to integrated systems, application. NTPC in the morning presentation, Arundhati spoke about what is their vision for the next decade. But then looking at the automation, you still have all these pieces still in place. Okay. You have the field devices, you have the controllers, you have different networks, you have servers, virtualization and cloud. And then from all these things to come to a operator control, it's a huge effort. For example, a typical 500 or 800 megawatt plant has something around 50 or 60,000 data points to be monitored, and then the operator has to be given intelligent information for him to run the plant as well as make it more efficient running. If this is not enough, you have the next round of activities putting a lot more pressure on the automation other segments. You have local fixed assets, you have remote assets, we have mobile assets, and then all this information, somebody wants to know what's happening. It's not that he is happy to monitor the status from the control room, but he wants to know what's all happening in all these areas. So you have mobile applications coming into picture, you have the GPS, and then the stage has come. It's not only the manufacturer or the solution providers who want to know, the customer wants to know everything. So that makes much more pressure on the solution providers as well as the suppliers to work together to have all this information made enabled into the mobiles or the laptops or the tablets. So the pressure on the industry, thanks to multiple technologies as told by Ralph, which has come into the picture, there's a huge pressure on the industry to make the information available at the fingertips of the person. He may be anywhere. He may not be sitting in the plant. He may not be in the office. So he has to be enabled with a lot of information. From centralized shop floor type controls, now we are on to totally mobile. And people want to know everything. Then comes your look at automation assets. So the design build cycle, what was available earlier, is now getting reduced and reduced. Of course, there's a specialized presentation by Ralph tomorrow in the afternoon asset cycle, but just I'll just give some ideas. So the design and build cycle is reducing completely. Okay. Then operations, you just can't do only operate and maintain. You need to improve all the time. So the O&M pressure to maintain is pretty high. You just can't leave it to the operator to leave it if he doesn't have a continuous improvement process. So that's practically becomes a huge life cycle challenger for any asset. Then machine automation, you see that the integration of mechanical hardware, electronics. So this enables a lot of automation getting into the machine automation, which enables modular design and integrates electric, software, mechanic, everything. Okay. The next generation, which even earlier speaker Ralph talked about, you have PLM. PLM tools are really revolutionary whole engineering. It helps in automatic code generation. It helps in rapid prototyping. It helps in closed loop design and manufacturing. See, the biggest advantage of PLM is that you can do the design and test the PLC code before commissioning. You can test the entire HMI screen's graphics. You can validate safety concept. You can shorten the on-site cycle time. Practically, whether you are introducing a new plant, supposing you are making a new plant design, you can do the entire virtual prototyping. You can do 3D walkthroughs, and don't stop at that. You can take the feedback when the project really gets commissioned, feed it back into the loop so that the next project what you do gets the benefit of it. So the virtual design, virtual engineering, the virtual plant layouts really make the design much more optimized when you want to do multiple projects at the same points of time. PLM provides a tremendous tool for doing all that. And this is one famous slide of ARC. ARC believes that every industry, every company needs to keep focusing on all the time on new processes and technologies, whether it is on systems, whether it is on information, whether it is on people, or whether it is on things. You need to keep looking at your processes all the time. Only all these technologies will help the companies to transform their business. This slide I will not talk because already Ralph talked about it. I just thought give an example of a connected car. We talk now Internet of Things, how does it go to help me out? So if you look at this car, the kind of information that will be available when you get into full electronics and software getting into the car. So you can keep the track of the car, you can have emergency calls, you can have the insurance monitoring, you have everything possible getting through the IoT systems on a discrete side. And of course, the cyber security is one of the most important things for this concern. Then whatever applies for a discrete industry, for a car, where you and us use them daily, then the same thing gets applied to connected plants. Okay? The connected plants, when you look at it, it can be different companies doing engineering, different companies doing purchasing, different companies doing corporate management, or your service providers, or you add a new machine tool into that. So whether it is discrete industry like a car or a car manufacturing or a car itself or a process plant, the IoT is going to help the industry like anything. Of course, this was talked about quite a lot. The biggest challenge of IoT, you have the cyber security, and then you have the technology standardization, you have the IPR relationship issues, then social, political, and then the system, as it grows, it becomes pretty complex. You have lots of connected devices getting connected. So it's very important to segregate the information and feed it to the operator. And of course, as our assessment goes, cybersecurity is the biggest challenge when you migrate into all kinds of IoT of things. I have a couple of more slides. I want to cut down my time because I want to gain time so that we don't delay too much of lunch. So we have two recommendations. One for the asset owners to get the benefits of all these new technologies that is coming into picture. Asset owners mean end users like NTPC or any other utility. Okay. Improve the performance. So reduce your downtime using predictive maintenance. Easily share the information internally and externally. Please collaborate with suppliers to solve process problems. That's one thing which is going to help the industry to run much more efficiently. Bring down your asset lifecycle cost, get into remote monitoring, remote fixes and updates, and lower the service cost in collaboration with suppliers. Platform for innovation, you pay for the value, not only for the product. You must ensure that the suppliers provide value for you, just not only supply the product. You have a platform for innovation, collaborate suppliers to improve products, and then wherever possible ensure fully flexible and decoupled production systems so that you are able to have smart products to control their own production process and integrate across the plants. Without all this, it's just not going to be easy for the plant utilities to run their plants. Coming to the recommendation for the suppliers, so please improve productivity, improve field service workforce productivity. Please solve the customer problems remotely so that you don't invest your time in traveling and the plant comes up pretty fast. Because of this, you can improve your service business by helping the customers to solve the business problems. Ensure that the warranty costs come less. Improve customer satisfaction. And then of course, as the end users, we want them to have a platform for innovation. You should also have a platform for innovation. Move away from products and products to as a service. And of course, collaborate with customers for incremental product innovations and also possibly breakthrough innovation. So in our assessment, IoT will help you to grow your service business and improve customer satisfaction. Thanks for your time. That's a small presentation I thought I'll make.